Instead of stating the standards that pertain to special education teachers' role in supporting learning, improving planning and practice, and upholding professional expectations and ethics, and collaboratively advancing the profession, I want to tell a story of how these standards were followed in the case of a student. I work in a school with 3 self-contained autism classes. About 3 weeks into the school year, we had a new student join one of our classes. The standard of learner development and individual learning differences were used as the teachers gathered background information on the student. He was a 5-year-old nonverbal male and had recently been put into foster care. Through finding out family background and learning environments, it helped the teacher create a safe environment for the student. He needed a safe space where he could have a positive learning environment in order to feel comfortable with the environment he was living in. The teacher collaborated with the foster parents to have the foster brother walk him into class and stay for a few minutes for the student to feel secure. The teacher would even FaceTime the foster parents as a reward throughout the day. This helped to reinforce the student feeling secure so they could focus on academics. It took a great deal of planning and practice to see what methods worked with the student and what did not. The teacher took time to assess the best way to teach the student. After a few days of assessment, she was able to determine the student was easily overstimulated. Noise from the classroom and transitions were triggers. She collaborated with the occupational therapist and physical therapist in order to come up with a plan to help desensitize the student. He refused to wear headphones but loved the compression vest. When wearing this vest, the student calmed down and was more compliant. Through this collaboration, the student was able to remain in the least restrictive environment and learn with the rest of his peers. This teacher upheld professional expectations and ethics. She could have allowed the student to have outbursts. However, she based her teaching on ethical practice. She advocated for this student. She exhibited professional expectations and ethics by participating in learning communities. Through her collaboration through the foster family and other teaching professionals, she was able to serve the student and move past hindering behaviors and focus on academics. Through collaboration, she did not give up on the student and allowed the behavior to predict the outcome. She furthered the profession by showing collaboration is helpful in gaining insight on the student. Next, let's look at the same roles we mentioned for the special education teacher, but look at it from the standpoint of a general education teacher. General education teachers are held to many of the same standards that a special ed teacher is. They are responsible for knowing their learners. It is important for them to understand how the student has developed, what environment they grew up in, and how cultures may affect the student. General education teachers are responsible for content knowledge. Teachers must be able to teach the academic standards. However, it is more than teaching the content. Teachers need to creatively connect concepts, create a learning environment, and vary perspectives in order to push students to learn the material. This is one way teachers participate in instructional learning and practice. General education teachers are responsible to continue to monitor their teaching. How are their choices and methods affecting the student? Is the student progressing or staying stagnant? The teacher may need to make adaptations in order to better serve the students. Finally, teachers should always engage in learning and progressing their profession. In an ever-changing world, collaboration and learning are vital to advancing teaching. New methodologies are important in order to reach all children. Collaboration leads to new knowledge and helps with students' growth. One of the professional dispositions that I have is I have great compassion for my students. I have shed many tears over my students. I love talking to my students and hearing about their interests. One of my favorite things is to chat with my students as we play kinetic sand or play doh. Compassion feeds into advocacy and dedication. When you have the disposition of compassion, you naturally want to advocate for the best of your students. Dedication also stems from compassion. When you are dedicated, you follow through on participation and attendance. I hate missing school because I feel it hurts my students. Personally, I could do a better job of the curiosity disposition. I need to help my students think outside the box, encourage students to go the next step in order to better. Personal biases can affect relationships a teacher has with a student. The National Association for Multicultural Education states teachers' hidden biases can often lead to goal reduction or diminished expectation of color or from under-resourced communities. I've watched other teachers cringe as students who have a reputation for disrupting a class walk by and even saying, I do not want that student next year. Many times, misconceptions are formed and follow the students through their academic career. This hinders the ability to teach the child and for them to reach their academic goals.